to you in the silence. I will lift you from all your fear. You will hear my voice. I claim you as my choice. Be still and know I am near. I am hope for all who are hopeless. I am rise for all who long to see. In the shadows of the night, I will be your light. Come and rest in me. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me. I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. I am strength for all the despairing, healing for the ones who dwell in shame. All the blind will see, the lame will all run free, and all will know my name. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me. I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. I am the word that leads all to freedom. I am the peace the world cannot give. I will call your name, embracing all your pain. Stand up now, walk and live. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I have called you each by name. Come and follow me. I will bring you home. I love you and you are mine. I love you and you are mine.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Catholics at Home podcast. As you know last week we took a break. It was a long weekend, so the team members decided to take a short break to spend time with their families. Hope you have missed and back today morning. If you have just listened to the song earlier by Timothy, we have a segment called Jamming for Jesus on Fridays. And you're welcome to join us. So there are two segments. We do this live segment every Saturday morning, and we also do one on Friday nights at 9:30 p.m., giving an opportunity for our young musicians, Catholic musicians, to praise God, to join them in praising God also. So if you have not heard of Jamming for Jesus, do look out on our Facebook postings every Friday at 9:30 p.m. And if you're wondering why it's me and not Kachang Kevin on the show today, so he has decided to take a break also. So this morning is left with me. Sometimes I wonder, ordained a priest. Looks like I have to host the show too. And so this morning, it's left to me to host the show, to talk about finding our way back home. Well, before we start, I would like to just welcome some people. Very early in the morning, we had Aaron already wishing us good morning. So good morning, Aaron, wherever you are listening from. Welcome to our show. It's great to know that you are so excited and enthusiastic to get ready to come on our show. And to all others who are here, Evelyn, Joshua, Joe, Cindy, welcome to our show. On behalf of all of us at Catholics at Home, hope you have a good session this morning, this conversation about finding our way home. As many of you already know, we are slowly finding our way back to our churches. We started off with one mass a week. Now we have more masses. People are beginning to come back in different ways, in different forms. Some are still hesitant to come back for various reasons. Some are not able to come back because of age restrictions or even health conditions that do not permit them to come back to church. For whatever it is, I think we are all still very united in the sense, in terms of coming and worshiping God, whether it's online or whether it's live. So this morning, we want to have a little conversation about how has it been. Now it's over a month, I believe, that we have opened our churches. Some have come back. I've heard very moving stories about people coming back and moved to tears to be able to receive communion, to be able to listen to the word of God. More importantly, just to be in the house of God after about 4 months of not being able to go. So this morning, our conversation is with basically focused on a little survey that had been done by some members of the Church of the Holy Family in Kajang about coming back to church. And so before that, I'd like to invite Jonathan, who kind of spearheaded this discussion. Good morning, Jonathan.
Hi, morning, Father. Hi, everyone
Welcome.
that's tuning in.
Welcome to Catholics at Home.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I believe you're from Holy Family Kajang. I see your name, HFK, right? HFK, Jonathan Phun.
Yes.
Just a little bit about yourself, Jonathan.
Well, I've actually, I grew up in Kajang, and I belong to the parish of Holy Family Kajang. And I volunteer with the music ministry, and now with a younger and more demanding population in Holy Family, I'm also volunteering with the social communications ministry. And that's the genesis of how we came about thinking of doing a survey to get people's feedback since RMCO, since the church have actually reopened, how they actually feel about this. Yeah.
Yeah, have you yourself gone back to church?
Yes, I have. So I was actually I attended the first few masses in Holy Family Kajang, both as someone who was behind the scene helping to prep some of the FAQs to be put up on our website, as well as an attendee for the Sunday Mass. And let me just put it this way, Father, it really felt different to be able to go back to church. And I think many of our survey respondents have also felt the same. And I think we'll go through later in the program about what was their feedback like going back to church for the first time after a long absence.
Yeah. Well, just for our listeners out there, if you're watching us via Facebook or YouTube, now Facebook has that feature about having a watch party. So do share with your friends. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube. This morning we have a little bit difficulties, I think, in sharing through HKL channels. But if you go to our Facebook Catholics Home and YouTube channels, you're able to follow us. Yeah, Jonathan. So coming back to our discussion, in the sense that coming back to church, I have two parishes that I look after. Yeah. So the response has been initially quite exciting. Then slowly it kind of tapered off. And you started your team has started a little survey, basically.
Yep.
I believe you have about 400 people who have responded.
Yeah, we did. We had an overwhelming response.
That's amazing. Find out. So maybe you want to just, before we enter into this conversation and bring in other guests this morning, maybe just take us through the survey that you did, or what did you find? What did you find from that survey generally?
Sure, Father. So in this survey, we basically asked 13 questions, basically just trying to assess what is our parishioners in general feeling about returning to church, and what do they actually think about the period where they were attending online masses and how they felt about it. Because as you know, when we were attending online masses, a lot of the ministries were not able to run some of the activities which would otherwise be run. For example, your RCIA, your Sunday classes, and all the other formation activities. So we put forward this survey because we wanted to just evaluate and see what parishioners think, whether the church has done the right thing to reopen now at this point in time, and if so, what do they feel about going back to church? Will they want to continue to participate in online masses? Do they feel disconnected? Do they feel more joined as an online community with one another? So those 13 questions were centered around how they felt about going back to church, how they felt going or attending online masses, and whether as a person who is not able to attend mass, be it because they are actually of a certain age or maybe because they're unwell, what they actually felt attending online masses. So with this 13 questions that we asked, we actually had some very, very interesting questions, or rather feedback. Firstly, I mean, we had a very, very good population of age group that responded, and more importantly, 95%, resounding 95% of them have actually attended online masses. And I think there were some pros and cons. Some said that it was engaging. Some said that it wasn't as engaging as it would be if they were to be in church. For example, holding hands while they actually recite the Our Father or the prayer with everyone in the community in church. And then, of course, when we asked the 400, more than 400 surveys, we actually got 70% of them that said that they're actually willing to attend mass in church right now. And there was only, I think, about 12% that said, no, we won't. And the others were basically on the fence, I think, because they were trying to figure out where this COVID-19 pandemic is taking us, whether will it get better, will it get worse. So I think that was generally the response that we got in terms of how they felt going back to church. And in terms of the question that we asked whether has online masses moved the church into a digital age. I think we had a very, very resounding, over 70% of them have actually said yes. This lockdown has actually brought the church into a digital age. And the people who are actually attending virtual masses, more than half of them are actually willing to go back to attending mass in church once they are able to do so. So I think we do have some very, very interesting feedback, especially with the ones who are not able to go back to church and they would like to attend formation. I think a lot of them, more than half, actually says that they would actually consider going back to attending, for example, any formation activities in church, catechism classes, and of course the other half were still on the fence, and they say that they will still continue to participate in online masses until it is safe for them to return to attend mass in church. And I think one of the questions that we have, which we'll be bringing up to some of our volunteer guests, what they feel about the church centrality, and do they see that they lost their identity as a Catholic during the MCO period where they had no choice but to attend masses. I think we were basically split as well. 50% of them actually thought that not being in a physical church did not make them any less Catholic, but the other half felt that yes, they really felt disconnected and slightly distant from the mother church. So I think basically that was the feedback that we got from the 13 questions that we actually asked.
Yeah. Before I get to another question that I would like to ask you, maybe to our listeners this morning, if you have been to church, just describe in one word, what has the feeling been? I mean, I know it's not easy to describe in one word, but this is the challenge it's going to be. I'm sure people would like to tell us long stories. To all our listeners out there, you can use the comment section, whether in Facebook or in YouTube. Just tell us in one word, how has it been if you have gone back to church? What was the feeling as you walked into church? And those of you who have not gone back to church, tell us what's holding you back. Tell us maybe in one word or even two words, or maybe, okay, let's be liberal this morning. Let's give them 3 words. Maybe yes. 3 words. 3 words. Tell us what is it that's holding you back from going to church? So maybe we can use that as a kind of also kind of a matrix to understand people where they are. Jonathan, coming back to your survey, I'm sure when you started the survey, I'm sure you had some ideas about what kind of responses. Were there any shocking discoveries that the survey showed?
I think for us, one of the shocking one was probably to attend Mass, whether they would like to prefer going to attending Mass in person or whether to continue with online. I mean, personally, I thought that there would be a more resounding responses geared towards saying that, we would like to actually attend Masses in church because it makes them feel more connected. But surprisingly, more than 50% of our respondents actually said that they would like to basically attend Masses online if possible, until it is actually safe for them to do so. And I think we were also able to get some verbatim as to why they felt that way. I think a lot of them feel that being disconnected is one thing, but not being part of the physical community did not stop them feeling more of a Catholic. So I think that's one of the surprising things that we got. And then of course, I think when we asked them about the question about where there is, or when eventually there is a vaccine for COVID-19, will they think Mass will be redundant? We actually had a quarter of our responses that think that Mass will be redundant once there is actually, will be redundant with a vaccine. I think those are the surprising feedback that we actually got from the survey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see. This has been the general conversation and observation also. When we had one Mass in most of our parishes, people were kind of like, there were lots of people trying to sign up, and different parishes have used different methods of trying to sign up for Mass. But the moment we kind of increased the number of Masses, there's a kind of a general, we're finding it hard to fill the churches.
Yeah. I mean, I can share it as I can share that as an example. So Holy Family on a good day would be able to fit a capacity of 4,000 to 5,000 people, but with the implementation of the guidelines of returning to church safely, the maximum that we could actually have is actually no more than 350. So I think the highest attendees that we had at Holy Family at any point in time was only 320. And we actually do see a downward trend in terms of people wanting to come back to attend Mass in church. Do you see that as well, Father?
Yeah, and I think this is the conversation that I've had with other priests too, that as we opened up more Masses, we are finding it hard to fill the churches, even though we could take more. I mean, for example, in my own parish that I look after, I could take about slightly more than 100, but last weekend it's less than 100. We are able to fill, and I think I'm looking at some of the comments. Someone saying still the fear of infection is there. It's at our doorstep, so that fear is still there. People are afraid to come out.
But I do see that on the other hand, I mean, we've got some of our audience that are sending some messages. I think we've got Margaret, who's actually commented that my first Mass in church after the lockdown was really moving, and I was really moved to tears. I mean, when you were celebrating Mass, did you actually witness that as well, Father? Did you see that the parishioners were moved when they came back from Mass after a long absence?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people felt that way. I mean, it was a sense of like coming back to some sense of normalcy. Here's another thing. I think as people went back to work, people went back out to get groceries. So all these little steps that they take, it kind of reinforces the idea that despite all the things that you have to wear a mask, you have to distance, you can't hold hands, you can't congregate after Mass, but it gives a sense of hope that some sense of normalcy is returning, not so quickly, but slowly. But I guess there are people who also have challenges, and I think one of the challenges I've encountered is especially those who, because of their age, are disadvantaged, are not able to come to church. We also have another situation in terms of nationality. Those who are not non-Malaysians are somehow not allowed to come back. So there's also a sense of dissatisfaction. So maybe this morning we have a whole range of guests we want to listen to. Maybe we start off with, if we could bring Robert and Betty into the conversation now. Good morning, Robert.
Hi, Father.
Hey,
good morning, Father.
Hi, Father.
Hi, morning. Morning, Uncle Robert. Morning, Auntie Betty.
Good morning.
Morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
So I'm sure you've been following our conversation earlier with regard to those who are coming back, who are feeling moved, who are feeling touched, even into tears. and there are some who are not able to go to do those things. You know, you don't, both of you don't look above 70. So I mean, in a sense that, but
Thank you, Father.
you're welcome. Uh, but somehow you are not able to go back to church, because even though the SOPs are a bit fluid in terms of not able to, not discouraged because of the risk factors. Have you gone back to church in any way? I don't think you have gone back to church, right?
No,
During this
Father.
time. Maybe Betty, you want to start? I've known you from my days of as a young priest. My first parish was in your parish. I've known you since then, and you have been a regular person at mass every Sunday in the choir,
Yes.
etc.
Yes, Father, I remember you so well.
How does it feel, Betty? I mean, like, not being able to go to church at this time because of the pandemic. Not that you don't want to.
Sad, Father, in a way, very sad. But the fact that I can follow the masses online, and I appreciate the homilies because it's from, other, like I watched mass from Melbourne, Perth, even once Canada, Singapore, Father, because the Archbishop, he has a regular time, which I can really fit into. That's at 12 o'clock, because early morning means no, a big no for me because I'm not an early riser. That's one thing. But Father, I've been so inspired, I cannot say that. I'm sad, of course, not to be in church, but the fact that I was given the grace. Father, the MCO has really been a wonderful time for me too. I must be very frank about this, because the graces that I see, that the Lord has given me. I've never followed so many masses in my whole life, retreats, and novenas, Father. So all this has really helped to strengthen my faith. And about whether I need to be in that physical church for the church to, give me my identity. Maybe just the term, the Catholic Church, I just belong to it. I find my identity there. But other than that, I need community, Father. I need to be with people, because it has been like my mission now to be, what shall I say, helping anyone I can. And I feel that the Lord has sent me people too. And I tell him it's for a reason, because I know, Father, that I'm a cancer survivor. So he has blessed me in so many ways. So this is my way of repaying him, the little bit that I can do. Yes, I try to do it. And yeah, Father, I feel that I really don't need that building, but I need people, Father. I need my fellow, what shall I say, parishioners, my BEC,
Yeah. Thanks, Betty. Coming to Robert. Robert, I'm sure you are able to also share the same sentiments of Betty here. Now, Robert, you have been very much involved in community building in BECs. During this time, that not being able to go to church in some way, how have you felt communal support? I mean, something that Betty has said that she feels lacking. Has there been some activity in terms of your own community being supportive during this time when you're not able to go to church?
Now, being unable to attend church is one thing. Following live streaming has a different meaning altogether. Although faith can be expressed, but we need to express faith in the community. So not being with the community, with the BEC members, with the parish at large is not good enough. It is something missing. Church as community is missing. And now I am not allowed to go back to church. Not allowed. And of course, I'm very sad and disappointed. And I hear we have to register. And I'm not even allowed to register. I'm not allowed in the swimming pool, in the badminton court, in the cinema. It's okay, but not allowed to worship in church. And I have to register, and they say, no, you look 94, you cannot register. And so I feel that the only place I can go to without registration, without permission, is the Jalan Bukit Cemetery in Kajang. Now, I fear for two things for the church, two worries. Over 70, we are somehow considered expired or are expiring. So we won't be needed in the church for the rest for a long, long time. And the second point is then there will be no old people in the church. The second fear is young people who are at 11, 12 who have received Holy Communion cannot go to church, and they may not want to go to church, and we will have a hard time bringing youth back to church later because they are so used to home streaming. So I hope slowly senior citizens who are fit, who are healthy, can be allowed to return slowly. Of course, we are careful about our health. We are worried. The bishop is also very worried. He is concerned about health. But am I fit to go to church? I am not too sure. Number one, I'm very fit as far as if I do not tell anybody my medication. But with my medication, I am as fit as a fiddle. I have gone back to badminton court, but I cannot go to church. And I only hear because I can't attend the mass. The church population is dwindling, and they are appealing for more people to come to church. That is what I was saying, the two fears. So for me, after more than half a century of receiving Jesus in church and not being allowed to receive him in the sacrament in the church is very unusual, although we have no choice. Faith can still be expressed through the live streaming, the spiritual communion, but still there is something lacking, some feeling of something missing. So
I really feel your sense of kind of disconnect with the church and frustration. I mean, that's quite normal, and after so many years of going to church, it has become your DNA, your every Sunday regular thing that you do. It's very, and you talk about community, and this is something that maybe I'll ask Jonathan also. I mean, I as a priest, I look at it, and I said this a few weeks ago, celebrating Mass is not the same anymore, because part of the whole celebration is interacting with your community, which I'm not able to do before Mass or even after Mass, because immediately after Mass, everybody is asked to leave the church.
Yeah.
And as a priest, I really feel that disconnect sometimes, not sometimes, but even every Sunday, that I'm not able to interact with the flock, with the people that come. It's like a group of strangers coming and then leaving as strangers. Do you feel that when you've gone back to Mass?
Yeah, I think you're right, Father. And I think before that, just wanted to assure Uncle Robert that I can attest that you are fit as a fiddle. But unfortunately, when it comes to the church reopening, there are certain guidelines that unfortunately you have to follow from the government. But coming back to Father Clarence's question, I think I do feel that once I attend Mass, I feel that connectedness. But when I look around and I see that the next person is 1 to 3 meters away from me, it feels a bit disconnected. But what really helps is that for me, I actually have a prayer group. And so we use that prayer group as a form of connectedness. We share prayers, we talk about what we actually go through at work or in life. And that kind of gives us a sense of belonging, because yes, I may not be able to linger after the church and catch up with my friends or catch up with my buddies, but going online and being able to express those frustration and having some sort of a community gives me peace, knowing that I don't just feel this alone. There are people in my BC, there are people in my church that is also going through the same challenges.
Yeah. No, Robert, you talked about your second fear. Your second fear was about the young people. Now, I just want to bring in two young people into this conversation that we have. So Betty and Robert, stay with us for a while. Let's listen to two young people who are not able to go. I'd like to bring in Chloe. Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
Yes, Chloe. Hi. Okay.
And Eliana and Alicia.
Yep.
Good morning.
Hi,
I'm here
Eliana.
then.
Morning, Alicia.
Now, you just heard Uncle Robert said that his fear is young people will not go back to church after this. So I take it that the both of you have not gone to church, right? In this last 4 months. How has it been for you? Maybe Chloe, you want to start? You maybe if you could put your microphone closer to your mouth. Yeah. We can't hear you, Chloe. For some reason, we are not able to hear you. Chloe, are you
want
with
to
us?
try again, Chloe?
Yeah, Chloe is muted at the moment. Maybe, yeah.
I feel sad
Okay.
with the Eucharist.
I didn't catch you, Chloe. Can you say that again, please?
I feel sad because I cannot receive the Eucharist and the body of Christ.
You missed the Eucharist and the body of Christ.
Yeah, she feels sad because she can't receive the body of Christ. Yeah.
Yeah. Eliana, Alicia, how do you feel? Oh, we are having some technical problems this morning. We can't hear you, Eliana. Somehow your microphone is muted.
Yep. You want to try again? Oh, we still can't hear you. We still can't hear you. So maybe you can come back to Chloe. So maybe Chloe, I know you do feel sad and you do miss coming to church. So what have you been doing during the period where you were not able to attend church? Can you share with us what were the things that you've done, like attending online masses?
Yes, I do attend online classes and I see the gospel on YouTube and watch stories. And also, I watch the children's gospel mass. And my mother explained to me it's because I don't have Sunday school online mass. So my father explained to me more about the Sunday school.
So mommy and daddy will watch the online masses and then they will actually explain to you about the gospel. Is that what you shared?
Yeah.
And how about you, Eliana? Can you hear us? Seem to have some technical challenges there, Father.
That's right, yeah. So maybe, Chloe, can I ask you this question? Now, this is Uncle Robert's fear. Uncle Robert's fear is that when the churches reopen, young people will not come back to church. Ask you, when the church reopens, will you go back to church?
Yeah.
So, Robert, that's your answer. You heard it from a young person that she will go back to church. So there is hope, you know. So your second fear, you know, may go away.
I'm not talking about everybody, Father, but the number may dwindle. Yeah, because they have got used to staying at home.
And I think that's true of also not just young people, but older people who have gotten used to that, you know.
And then we may go straight home. Go straight home to our Father. Not coming back home.
We are in challenging times. As we all know, I mean, we all keep saying that this is unprecedented. We have never gone through this before, you know. In my lifetime, I don't know about Robert, in your lifetime, something like this has happened. Also, Betty, I don't think something like this has happened in your lifetime.
No, Father, not at all.
This something very new for all of us, and
Yeah,
we are just
indeed.
trying to find our way
Of
through
course,
this difficult time.
this is not our wish. This is not our choice. You see.
Yes. True, very
Yeah.
true.
Sometimes you
But
never
I think
know.
we've got some messages coming in, Father. I think we've got a lot of well wishes.
Yeah.
I think we've got Angeline, we've got Dorothy, Margaret, Ophelia. They've actually shared and actually sending their best regards to Uncle Robert and Auntie Betty, and asking them
Thank
to be
you.
strong and hang on,
Yes, thank you.
and to be safe, most importantly.
Thank you.
Yeah. And sometimes, challenges like this make us stronger. You know, uh, we don't wish for something like this, but when it happens, we could come out stronger than ever before. We still have
After
Eliana.
the war is
Can you
over.
hear us? We are still having a bit challenges of maybe Eliana and Alicia will bring you in again in a short while. Uh,
Yeah.
just stay with us. Perhaps we could bring in some of the others who have gone back to church. We have Glenn, we have Patrick and wife, both husband and wife. If we could bring them into the conversation this morning. Uh, yeah, just a minute while Mark tries to organize this. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, keep sending us your messages. If you have anything you wanted to share about returning to church, or what you feel like coming back to church, or some of the challenges if you've not been able to attend mass since the RMCO period, do drop us a message. We will be more than happy to read them out during this show.
Good morning, Glenn, Gino, Patrick, and Hazel.
Good morning,
Good
Father.
morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome to
Jonathan.
Catholic at Home podcast. Now, I'm sure
Morning.
you've been listening to the conversation earlier. The challenges of those who are not able to come because of the age restrictions. We have Robert and Glenn. Then we have the younger generation. Robert has expressed his fears. Betty has talked about the lack of communal interaction. And Chloe has given us some hope in terms of that she will go back to church. Now, both of you, in terms of, the four of you, you have gone back to church. Maybe let me start with Glenn and Gino. What was your initial feeling walking into church?
I think it felt great for us, Father. Really, a sense of achievement, if I can say, to come. If you asked us this question a couple of months ago, we never would have foreseen that we could ever have this day of saying we could come back to church. Yeah.
Gino, you want to?
Very meaningful to be back in the community, yet felt a bit distanced because all of us, of course, had to keep our social distance. So the fellowship maybe was a little missing, but just seeing Jesus on the cross there in church, and that was very meaningful, very meaningful.
Yeah, coming Patrick and Hazel, just to ask you, and I think one of the things that we asked in the survey is that this MCO has pushed the church into this digital world. Somewhat. Maybe we had the idea of going in, but we were not as quick. But the MCO has kind of pushed you. How has it been? It's been for you seeing being mass online. That sense of. Did you find that somehow the church was able to provide you what you needed during the time when you were not able to go to church?
I think it's for us it was quite natural because we like to interact online, and even in our professional capacity we started doing webinars, and the only difference is you don't have the physical, the smells, the sights, the sounds. You're only looking at one screen. That's the big difference. But like what someone else pointed out earlier, you get access. I think Betty was pointing out, you get access to masses around the world. Almost any hour of the day. and that's a wonderful benefit that we've got. So it's a fresh experience. But you miss because in the Eucharist, when you go to church, especially, I don't talk about BC masses. I talk about going to church, the sights, the smells, the sounds, all of that part we miss. We only see on screen. So
Yeah.
that was the
But was it initially challenging
But
for both of you when you initially had to register and go through what some may consider as so many process or SOPs? How did you feel frustrated during all of those?
um
actually, we are used to filling out Google forms and registering things online. So for us, we don't speak for everybody, but for savvy people on the internet world, it's a normal thing and it's just a natural step and it's a good thing, I think, for us to do that so that the church knows exactly how many people have filled up the capacity that is that they allow. So I do not see it as a hindrance or a frustration for us anyway.
of course, it affects our liberties lah. We're not free to just walk into church in and out like that. But it was a bit of a thrill because when we were walking into church that day, we get to see. But you only see the top part of the person head, right? Everybody's mask. But you get to see the thrill in seeing people that you've not met for a long time, and I almost want to go and hug them and say hi like we normally do, but
Yeah.
social distancing. So we can't express that. I think maybe Uncle Robert might have felt that as well. You want to have that feeling of community. So we just wave from far, and we recognize each other. Then they escort us to our seats in church.
Well, I just want to share quickly. As an introverted person by nature, this social distancing actually allows us to go to church, experience all the sights and sounds and all that, and yet have a little bit of distance. And I find that is very solemn when I worship and pray. It is kind of way where we are all squished together because Sunday is very packed. Sometimes we get distracted. Sometimes, we get distracted because the other people next to us are making some funny things or children crying. I felt a sense
Yeah.
of
I get what you mean.
nice, solemn, and I can. There is a good side to the negative. So if you
I think that's an
want
interesting
to see
insight.
the positive and the
We're
negative,
having some challenges
there
with the
is.
audio.
It's
Yeah, it's
natural.
a bit scratchy, but I understand what Hazel was saying. As a person who's introverted, that I think she welcomes the idea that maybe she is able to participate in all of this, but still doing it at a safe distance. How about you, Glenn and Juno? Do you echo the same? I mean, when you does all of this registration and all stop you or make you feel that it's so challenging to go to church these days?
No, it was actually exciting to be able to go back and receive the Eucharist, which was not possible online. So that was a big challenge. I mean, it was always for us, it was always a spiritual food for us every week. It was a blessing for the week. We have the Eucharist and we felt, yeah, that was really important. So having been able to receive that back again, that was an
Yeah,
immense blessing.
I think
Just
and
Jonathan.
I think
trouble,
Yeah.
worth any trouble, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, what crosses my mind is that, I mean, looking at Glenn, Ginu, and Patrick, and Hazel, I mean, just looking visually, I think you come under that middle age category of younger people. Uh, I may be right, I may be wrong, but if I'm wrong, please
yeah.
forgive me. But
Father, you said it. I didn't say that. Father, you say that.
Go ahead, Father.
age thing, and you can get into trouble very quickly. So I better be very careful. I mean, for example, I mean, among the circle of friends, are there people who are saying like, oh no, I'm quite used to now the to the online masses. I'm not going back to church. Have you heard something like that among that age group of people who are saying that, I'm quite comfortable now with this. I don't need to go back to the. Do you feel something like that?
I think that's a good
Observation.
question, Father. And we do hear mixed pictures, and we, if I can say for both of us, coming from the age group of in the generation X, where we never grew up with in that IT platform as much. I still do a lot of my banking going to ATM. I'm old school, so online to me, I think to us really, we kind of miss that physical kind of connection, being in church and having that physical interaction. So, but we have people also who speak likewise, Father, and and I probably that falls for the Generation Z and the millennials who grew up in that IT platform, and this may be suited for them. But again, I think the church, to me, one of the things which always comes to mind is the church is empty or without the people. I think that's a key word. So the people make up the church, all of us parishioners. Yeah.
Yet to answer your question, I think we've had a lot of friends, not just from our age group, even my mother-in-law, for example, she attends a mass from New Zealand. She finds the homily very meaningful, different. And my brother from New York, he attends mass from Bangalore. So now we have that open to us to, like Auntie Betty was saying, to listen to several masses, several homilies from different places, areas. But sometimes it's a challenge to sit together in communion together for mass. I mean, we find sometimes that challenge even in our own houses with our boys attending something else, and we having a different time that we attend mass. Um, yeah.
Jonathan, did your survey show anything like that? I mean, in terms of people who are, who are saying that, is there a percentage of people who are saying that they will continue with this online masses and not go back to church?
I think we had a very, very small percentage of it. I'm just pulling out now. We had about 40% of them that favored continued online masses because it has its benefits. And I think some of the feedback that we got was that it reaches new audience. It provides accessibility for those who actually need it. There's some flexibility. And I think one of the feedback that we got was the vaccine may not be the end of it. And I think echoing all of this, we got actually 41 or more than 40% of them that favored continued online masses.
Yeah, I think I heard from Betty, saying that now you are with this online, you are all over the world for mass.
True. Very true.
You're not confined to Assumption or Holy Family Kajang or St. Thomas More. From the comfort of your home, you can be in New Zealand, you can be in Australia, you can be in New York, you can be in Canada. An important question for me as a priest, does that in some way make you disconnected with the local church when you have this ability to go anywhere? Whether it's Singapore, Australia. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, maybe sometimes the homilies there are better or the music there is better. People do church shopping all the time. That's a reality. But does that somehow disconnect you with your local church, your neighborhood church in that sense? Maybe Betty, you want to say something? Maybe you have been following masses everywhere, you said.
Yes, Father. Somehow, you really miss your friends, your parishioners. So it's. I mean, we have to seek consolation somewhere. So the fact that we are able at least to follow it online is one thing so great, Father. If this didn't exist, I don't know what would happen. It would be, oh my gosh, such a big tragedy. But of course, you really miss your friends, your parishioners, your parish priests.
Yeah.
We got to see him when he came to do the anointing, and that was very great, Father. Sure. When he came to the homes to visit, that was because we hadn't been to church for months. And then we were told that he was coming around, to visit the BCs, especially people in this age group and those who had no chance of going to church. So he came, he anointed, because my spouse is not well, so he anointed him, and I too was fortunate then to receive the anointing and communion. And then after that, able to receive communion from the BECs. So that was good. That was good. But it's only just on Sundays. But that's still very, what shall I say? I mean, good for me. Once a week is, yes, still very good.
It's interesting
rather
that
than nothing at all.
It's not just the physical building that you miss. The church, I think it was Jim who mentioned it's the community that you miss also. Yeah, you know. So the church is not just the building, not the physical presence that you are not able to go.
Yeah, and I think on this note, Father, we do have some messages that have come in. I think many people have actually echoed what we've been discussing this morning. I think we've got Vincent Raj that shared, St. Ignatius Church allows people over 70 as long as you're healthy, but need to register under Archdiocesan guidelines. And then we have Josie Ng that have said that never in her life she thought that there will be a day that she has to register to go to church and also be given a designated seat. Yeah, so I think we've got very, very interesting messages and very varied messages coming in. But of course, I think we are seeing a lot of support and also a lot of push for the vulnerable age group to be allowed to be returned to church. And I think that is something that we constantly work with the Archdiocese and following the guidelines so that we can actually allow more and more people to return to church.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember. I think for me as a priest, I think this is something that I've been reflecting. You know, every parish has got different talent pool. Every parish got different resources. So everyone is trying to find a way that suits them. You know, so sometimes people are comparing. For me, they're asking why this parish can do this, why this parish can't do that. That's always this, constant battle that my phone keeps lighting up and asking me. But we also realize that, it all depends on, what's available, how fast we can move, yet maintaining being cautious, looking at the situation. Maybe, this is where I think we want to bring in two volunteers into the conversation. What are the challenges they are facing in preparing for? So we have Mark and we have Glenn with us. So Glenn is Betty's son, so they need to share mics now. So Mark, maybe we start with you, Mark. Mark, I mean, you have been involved. You are a volunteer at Holy Family Kajang. My first question, because I checked your website, you are asking for volunteers to come and help. Are you getting an overwhelming response for people to volunteer, help navigate through this difficult situation?
For volunteers, we actually are, in fact, Father. So we actually have to. So we've already set up a certain, SOP within our church as well, and for the registration team, how many volunteers we need, temperature check, how many volunteers we need, and the sanitization team. And in fact, we have to limit the amount of volunteers coming forward. So really praise the Lord, because we were a bit concerned as well into whether we could actually get people to come and help out, you see. But we actually have to, in a way, tell people to sort of be on standby, because we actually have enough volunteers to go about as it is now, you see.
Yeah. And so if I ask you, Mark, I mean, if you say, what are the top 3 challenges at the moment in terms as volunteers? What are the top 3 challenges that you're encountering in terms of welcoming people back to church?
Well, I think the biggest challenge that we get asked a lot, and I think it was mentioned quite extensively during this podcast as well, is that why am I not allowed in church? People think that we are the gatekeepers or that person who's like, no, that police, that don't allow you to come in. But I think we have been given a very difficult task, and I can safely say that it's not that we allow or don't allow people. This is God's house at the end of the day. It's not for us to say who comes and who doesn't come, you see. But unfortunately, there is an SOP that we have to stick to. So I think that is the biggest challenge. Of course, it's not. I'm not happy as well that I have to turn people away in a sense, And so that's one of the biggest challenge. I think number 2 also sittings, because for us in our church, we actually pre-assign seats. And some people have come up to us and say like, why did you assign me in this particular seat? Unfortunately, I think the simple answer to that question is that we don't know who is who. You see, like I don't purposely put Jonathan Phun in a certain seat. For example, it's a first come first serve basis. In the case for our church, we put a system in place. So whoever registers first will get the seats first, like essentially. So I think seatings also, some people have been giving us some feedback and comments on how we can improve. So of course we looked into that as well. And other than that, I think the biggest challenge we have is to reach out to everybody. I think Holy Family Kajang, we have quite a big pool of parishioners, and we've been trying our best to at least reach out to everybody and to inform people that you can come back for Mass. And I think some people say that a lot of people are not technologically savvy, and I can understand that, and that is a challenge we can understand. But I feel that with every challenge comes an opportunity. So we feel that that's the opportunity where BC leaders or zone leaders can actually then reach out, because we say that you can help people register. Example, let's say Jonathan, for some reason, doesn't know how to register himself, but he knows me as a friend, right? So he can say, Mark, can you help me register? So I can help Jonathan register, you see. So instead of seeing that as a roadblock or a challenge, I think that's one way we can maybe connect better with our BEC. So that's one of the challenges that we face as well, in terms of people reaching out to us saying that there are families who don't know how to register online. And then I think the simple answer for us is that reach out to them, speak to them, get to know them, right? And then register for them, because the system that we put in place allows you to help each other register for Mass, you see. So I think that's the top 3 challenges that we actually face.
Glenn, you're from Assumption, Glenn.
Yep.
In terms of capacity, what's the number of people that you can take maximum with the social distancing, everything in Assumption?
195.
195
calculated.
And now you have how many Masses over the weekend?
In the weekend we have 2. One on Saturday 6:30 and Sunday it's at 9:30. But for these next 2 weekends, because of our parish fees, we've switched it to Sunday sunset, just for 2 weeks. Sunset 6:30.
Are you able to fill those numbers? That's 195?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yes, we have. Somehow they've been vacant seats also.
And is it because people register and don't turn up, or people just don't register? What is the challenge there?
I think we have some challenges there with Glenn.
Mark,
coming back to your,
do you have people who register and don't turn up?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we definitely do. Actually, in fact, on average, our attendance rate every week is about 80. The best was 82% attendance rate. But we've been doing this for the past 4 or 5 weeks, and the average attendance rate is actually 80%. So about 20% of people will register and don't show up as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan, you were saying something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that we actually also asked Father during the survey was whether the parish boundaries would become redundant with the continuation of online Masses. And there was actually, and if I can just highlight this to Uncle Robert and Auntie Betty, that there was a resounding 70% of them that actually feel that this will not be replaced. The online Masses will not be replaced. They still prefer to go back to go to church and attending Masses. So I think, as a volunteer, Mark, maybe I can also ask you this. You see that there's a capacity of about 80% and all of people showing up for Masses. And what are the feedback they normally share with you? Clearly, these people do feel that by going for online Masses, it will not be a substitute for attending Mass in person. So what are the feedback that you've gathered so far?
Well, to be honest, the 20% who don't show up, a lot of them actually don't give us a response. Like, they don't give us a reason as to why they don't show up.
Okay, but what about the 80%? When you get to meet them as a volunteer, what is their feedback? What is their sharing? Are they happy, or are they anxious? Are they frustrated with the process of registration?
So far, they've actually been very happy. Suffice to say, I think so far we haven't had complaints per se on our registration process and entering of church in that sense. But they're actually definitely very, very happy. And of course, after 2-3 Masses, sometimes we see the same parishioners coming back. And then they actually say, like, hey, I would really still love to bring my parents, who are above 70 back. When can that happen? And I think when they ask us that type of questions, it's always very, very difficult for us to answer. So I think that's the biggest frustration that they still feel. They're not angry about it per se. I think they can appreciate the fact that that safety and that concern is still put in place. But they're definitely frustrated, and of course we are frustrated as well. So because like Uncle Robert, I've known him since I was a kid, and not seeing him in church also is like it's a bit weird lah. So definitely we feel that frustration as well.
Yeah, I think you're right on that point. But I mean, especially when you're volunteering in HFK, Holy Family Kajang, do you see a good demographic of people returning to church? I mean, we could take a capacity of 320 people in Holy Family Kajang. So when they attend Mass, do you see a good segment of different age group, population, and different zones coming for Mass?
Yeah. So actually, we can actually feed 374 people in our church now. Yeah. And yes, we actually do get quite a good demographic. Even people bordering the line of 70, so they do come as well also. And we've had some very good stories. In fact, some people came on, and like I was mentioning earlier about those who had difficulty registering online. I would say it's actually a very small percentage, but there were some parishioners who really did not have a smartphone. They did not have any internet at all, but they reached out to the neighbors and the BC. So we had one I would say family. They brought along their neighbor or their zone member, and because they didn't have access to internet and all. And I think that without this exercise that we have, they probably would have never even met or connected in that sense, you see. So I feel that there is some good that comes off from this registration process as well.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the earlier point that you've also made, that going into this MCO somehow has actually helped the church move into a digital age. And that was some of the feedback that we also got from the survey, that a lot of them agree with that we have actually moved into a digital age. And we also see a lot of messages coming in from our feed that says that, they're participating online masses, they are listening to various homily by different archdioceses, different countries. And I think that gives the color as to the mother church, as to being a Catholic. What is that all about? Is that you are universal, you're part of a worldwide community. I mean, I think we as a volunteer, probably some of the challenges that you also have is to tell people no and all. So I think, as much as we can, we will encourage people of different age group to come back for masses, and we hope that we can continue to work with the authorities as ArchKL to work on the SOP and all. But coming back to you, Father, you serve 2 parishes, right? What were some of the feedback that you have gotten so far when people come back and they actually greet you and they see you? Are they elated? That sense of elation, is that something that you also see across, like what Mark has also shared?
Yeah, I think that's something that's across the board, in the sense that I serve 2 parishes, one rural, one urban. People, I just want to come back, but I share to what Mark has said. My difficulty is saying no to those who are not able to come back. That's the challenge. In one parish that I serve in the urban area, a lot of people who belong to migrant community, who turn up on a Sunday and said, why can't I enter the church? So I'm having to stand at the entrance and engage in a conversation with them. So instead of letting the lay volunteers, some consolation, the priest stands there and explains to them the situation, and I'm trying to think of new ways. And I can understand what Mark was saying, that it's difficult for him to do it just as much as it's difficult for me. So I kind of stand at the gate and try and explain to them, and I'm trying to find new ways how to reach out to them, without breaking the laws that have been put in place. And I think it's something that we just need to weather for a while, because it's something that I know there's a lot of frustration out there for a lot of people. Maybe we just need to be patient. I know it's easier said than done, but this is something that the whole nation or the whole world needs to stand together. It's not just it's not just us, Catholic Church, or another religious community. It's something that we all need to stand together to fight this. And I think we owe it. This is how my reflection. I think we owe it to our frontliners who are working so hard at the beginning of the pandemic, who put their lives at stake to kind of curb this spread, to break the chain of infection. Who actually, we were all in our homes, confined into our rooms, and we were safe. We didn't need to put on PPEs and walk out there, and the frontliners were fighting day and night. I think we owe it to them to make sure that this doesn't break out again, because they were not just putting their time. For me, it is they put their lives for us, and I think we kind of owe it to them to help curb this, and we will come out of this. We will come out of this, and I think we just need to be patient and manage our frustration in the light of a global pandemic that's affecting us. Yeah, that's how I've been telling people. Let's be patient, and in the church, even those, I know I've been getting some comments on my Facebook, people saying that some churches are having different things, every church is different. I keep saying that some have drive-in communion already. Some have organized special masses for the senior citizens. Some have mobilized their communion ministers to take communion to one home. So I can speak from the priest part. I think we all are trying different ways. What works for different parish? What works for my parish may not work for HFK, and what works for HFK may not work for Assumption, isn't it? I mean, so we're all trying to find new ways into reaching out. But on that note, maybe, we're kind of coming up to the end of our show.
Yeah.
I want to try and bring in back Eliana and Alicia. Are they still with us? I mean, they didn't get a chance to say their piece. Yeah. Hi, Eliana. Alicia, are you still with us? Oh, we are still having that audio challenges.
But we can hear Chloe. Yeah. I think for Eliana and Alicia, I think their feedback is probably most likely the same as Chloe, is that, I mean, they feel that they will still return to church once they're allowed to do so. And I think you can tell from their face the excitement of being able to talk about how it's like, to be able to go back to church, and what they've actually been sharing during the MCO period right up to now, where they're not able to attend Mass. So they're actually attending virtual Masses and probably spending time with the family, with the parents, going through the homily, going through the gospel. And I think that's really encouraging from our younger population who are not able to come back to church for the time being. Yeah.
Eliana, Alicia.
Father, I think let's bring everyone in for
Let's see if we can get everybody into the conversation as we.
Yeah, packed to the rafters today, Father.
Yeah. So perhaps kind of a little roundup before we end our conversation this morning. Maybe we give space to Robert. Robert, to the people who are not able to go because of the restrictions, what advice would you give them? When you have been involved in church for many years, Mark has been in church as a little boy, so literally you must be one of the pillars of HFK. What would you say to those who are 70 and above? What would your advice be to them?
For those above 70, I hope the day will come very soon. Those who are well, who can attend, should be allowed by the health ministry, and so the church will have to follow. But for me, if I am not well, I must be responsible, and I will not attend the church mass. So I have to be responsible to myself and to the others. So if I am fully healthy, or I'm not in danger to myself or to others, then I should be allowed to attend Mass. Then on the other point is about the fears I mentioned. Father has just mentioned that many have expressed the what you call happiness or whatever it is to stay online. I only worry after staying online, shopping into different churches, we get used to it. We don't need the church. That's what I was talking about, the fears. And Jonathan has given the figure of Kajang. 80% who register don't even turn up, but there are so many others who are not there. So
I think it's 20% who don't turn up. 80% turn up, 20% don't turn up.
80% turn up. So the church is still not full with 370. So my point is, we be careful. Of course, we take care of our health, but we hope one day we win the war. We win the war, and
We
we will
will.
be allowed to go back.
We will. Thanks, Uncle Robert. We will.
Glenn and Gino, any final words of encouragement to the people who are listening this morning?
Father, I just want to tell Uncle Robert firstly that day will be very soon when we can have everyone back, our children, our those who are in the elder groups, and I believe there is and I'm sure we all know that the vaccine will be out soon. And I know that they're working very hard on that, and hopefully we have it for this year, if not at least by early next year, so that everyone can come back and we can have some form of normality as how we was before we started this whole COVID-19.
Yeah, because as much as we can watch online masses all around the world, it's our own community that we need the most in times of need. Your own BC, your own church members, they're there for you. I miss that. Yeah, I miss the hugs. So hopefully, by God's grace, everything will be fine soon. And yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick and Hazel?
Yeah, I would just want to do a shout out to all those people who are volunteering week after week, within the week, in all the different parishes. The people who are volunteering there have done a lot of good work.
Thank you. Thanks, Hazel and Patrick. I think we've got a message from our two little ones who are not able to speak.
Sure.
So they've actually sent a message. They said that they do miss the Mass because they're not able to receive the body of Christ. And they do miss that they are not able to see their friends. But fortunately, that the parish that they are in, their Sunday school teacher is currently having online classes, but not everyone is attending it. And sometimes my younger sister would disturb me during the class. But all said and done, they've actually shared that they attend the Children Mass by the Singapore Catholic Church. There is a short praise and worship before Mass, and then we attend our online Sunday school. So that's actually coming from Eliana and Alicia.
Amazing. Chloe, what would you like to say to your friends?
I want to go back to church to receive the Eucharist.
Amazing. So that's our hope. So we have heard the hope for the future. These are the ones that will come back. Mark, you want to make a shout out for volunteers in the different churches? I know every church is struggling. You want to be a volunteer. What would you recommend them to do?
I think that definitely a big shout out to all the volunteers. I know volunteering is always a thankless job, but know that God has called us to do this. It's definitely God's calling, and I think it's a very noble for all volunteers to answer God's call. I would also actually like to thank our family members. Actually, a lot of things you don't see behind the scene. Like for me to be able to volunteer in Mass, my wife has to stay back and look after our kid. So I think a lot of sacrifice happens on the back as well. So so I think I want a big shout out to my wife Nicole. I think the family members also supporting these volunteers also are very, very important, because every week we have to be there, and somebody definitely has to hold on the fort at home as well. And because of that, my wife is not able to attend Mass as well because we have a kid at home. So I think not just the volunteers, but I think the family who are supporting the volunteers as well. Thank you very much, and continue to encourage more and more people to volunteer so that at least we have enough volunteers to go around. And and thank you for your patience as well. And know that we definitely want everybody back in church, definitely.
And I just want to say, like even for me as a priest, I mean, a lot of the responsibility or the not so nice things are always said to the priests, but actually we really can't move if there are no volunteers, this is the time we really recognize that, as much as we would like to do many things, so Mark, you represent the volunteers, that have been helping, just to say thank you to all the volunteers. And if our listeners out there, if you would like to volunteer, and I think you should try and find ways, to help your parish, do volunteer, because there's a lot of things to be done before the church reopens, to
you're right,
welcome
Father.
a community. I mean, a lot of people they come to church and they see the church ready, everything, but behind the scene, there were lots of people who had been working very hard to get that organized. So if you are thinking, if you would like to volunteer, please do volunteer. Jonathan.
I think we have some final words that Patrick and Hazel would like to actually chip in before we sign off, Father. Patrick and Hazel?
I think there is.
Basically, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a silver lining on every cloud. So this pandemic presents a huge opportunity to PECs to really get together in smaller groups and to connect with each other. Our BEC has actually done that quite a bit during the earlier part of the MCO. And also for parish groups, a number of parish groups have actually gone online and done their programs, their formations online. And that already goes beyond borders. Some of them actually go cut across borders. And that really helps bring the faith to encouragement to one another. So shout out to these two groups of people, to the BEC members. Let's reach out back to the BECs and help and support one another, and also to those in the parish ministry groups,
Yep.
Never
Thanks.
ever
I agree with that.
going to church.
So on behalf of Catholics at Home, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of this
Thank you,
discussion.
Father. Thank you to all of our guests.
So just let our audience know, in terms of, if you would like to see the survey, the results of the survey done by Holy Family Kajang, I believe, Jonathan, it will go on social media at some point.
Yes, it will be going on social media. We're working with Catholics at Home to put up the results. But in the meantime, you can actually follow us, both Holy Family Kajang as well as Catholic at Home. We are actually on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Telegram for Holy Family Kajang. You can actually find us there, and we will be putting up the results there in the coming weeks.
Just a little preview to our listeners out there, preview of next Saturday, our live show. We have a priest, a Malaysian priest, who is a missionary in Africa. Very often you hear Malaysian everything, the comfort of home and luxury, and serving in Africa. Next Saturday we'll have him on our show, so do look out for notice. I would like to encourage you to subscribe to our Facebook channels or our YouTube channel, so that you get your notification to know that we are on. So there are two, just to remind all our listeners, there are two things. On Friday night at 9:30 p.m., we have the praise and worship session with our young people. If you are part of a parish group, you would like to praise God, do drop us a line on our Facebook, and we'll give you a call, and then you can be part of that praise and worship experience to share with all others online. And our Saturday live show. We are on, as Jonathan mentioned, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify, Catholics at Home. So these are the channels so do look out for us. If you would like to help us in any way also, do drop us a note. So on behalf of Catholics at Home and Holy Family, the social media team, we'd like to wish everyone a blessed weekend. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in our future podcast. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good Sunday.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to us.